Hi, welcome back. I hope this finds you well. I want to talk to you about 10 things that the narcissist doesn't want you to know. As we know, narcissists tend to like to operate undercover, especially if they're more covert. But even grandiose narcissists can present as covert depending on the situation and what they're trying to accomplish. So, number one, narcissists don't want you to know who they really are. They try to mask their identity with fake accounts, profiles, fake names, or mixed variations on their name to make it trickier for you to figure out who they really are. Number two, narcissists don't want you to know that you were one of the best things to happen to them. Narcissists are very, very reckless and impulsive, and they tend to sabotage their relationships. And unfortunately for them, they will sabotage relationships that actually could offer them long-term benefit. But because they're more short-sighted, they impulsively will be quick to sabotage or burn those bridges and ruin their chances of being able to get back into those relationships and be able to reap the benefits, especially when it's one that's progressive, where they're in a relationship or they're connected to someone who actually is going somewhere and is on an upward trajectory. Number three, they don't want you to know that they really need your help and your mentorship. A lot of times narcissists are very prideful, and they really deep down want and need help from other people, but they're too prideful to admit it. And so they'll sneak and lie and cheat and manipulate to get what they want, instead of just humbly asking, hey, you know what? I really could use your help with this. Or, hey, I really want to learn this. Can you teach me? And ultimately, it ends up backfiring because they do sabotage their relationships, or they're more short-sighted and will do something that will burn the bridge permanently. Number four, narcissists don't want you to know that they're really weak and fearful and cowardly. These are individuals that have a lot of deeply rooted insecurities that go all the way back to their childhood and the way that they were raised, or maybe not raised, or neglected, or treated, or whether it was abused or, as I mentioned, neglected, that they're very weak, very fearful, very cowardly. And that's why they think that in their disordered thinking, they think that they have to cheat, lie, manipulate, steal, sneak. Number five, narcissists don't want you to know that they struggle with addiction. A lot of times narcissists struggle with addictions like porn, for example, or they struggle with drug addictions. I know my father was an addict for many, many years. I would say 2 decades. And he had a lot of undealt with childhood trauma and pain. And he used drugs and other things as outlets to numb that pain and to not feel, to escape. And it really ruined our family in a lot of ways and held us back in a lot of ways. So very unfortunate. And ultimately, it cost him his life. Number six, narcissists don't want you to know their backstory. A lot of times narcissists come from very traumatic childhood experiences and adverse conditions that are just horrible, and the parents were absent or abused them, or they were abused by relatives, whether it was sexually, emotionally, financially, verbally, physically, and they don't want you to know that. And a lot of times, whether we want to acknowledge that or really discuss that aspect of it, that's why they are the way they are. Number seven, narcissists don't want you to know that they are grifters, and they often move around from place to place, situation to situation, have a very unstable living situation and very toxic lifestyle in that way. And oftentimes they'll get evicted from housing or kicked out even from relatives' homes because of their toxic, dysfunctional behavior. And so they move and migrate from place to place, state to state, person to person, situation to situation. And there's a lot of instability there. And those adverse conditions can further fuel their toxic behavior and desperation and their need to control something, even you, and manipulate situations. Number 8, narcissists don't want you to know that they are broke. A lot of times narcissists, especially grandiose narcissists, will posture and flaunt and flash. They'll, wear designer clothing, but really have nothing in their bank accounts. Or they may present like they're, even covert narcissists can present like they're, this misunderstood person who's a genius and who is well connected, or, is related to people who are affluent or successful, when really the truth is they're broke, desperate, they're hustling, they're conning, manipulating, whether it's through children or through schemes and scams to be able to get money. Number 9, narcissists don't want you to know their other targets. Now, there are occasions in romantic relationships where there may be some triangulation between the old flame and the new supply, and maybe posting on social media to flaunt the new supply. But in relationships maybe that are not romantic, such as working relationships or neighbors or fake friends or acquaintances, or colleagues or collaborators or things of that nature, where there's not that romantic tie and connection, they definitely do not want you to know their other targets, especially if they operate more covertly. They want to keep everybody separate, everybody compartmentalized, so that they can manipulate people individually, control people individually, control the narrative. And again, another example of that was the alleged murderer. He kept everybody separate, kept everybody compartmentalized, and dealt with people one-on-one, and would say things to people about the others that would kind of make everybody look at everybody kind of funny and maybe not want to associate with them or distance themselves. And really, it was just him controlling or trying to control the narrative. And when people started talking to each other and started comparing notes and recognizing some of the patterns in his behavior, then that's when things started really falling apart. And he was losing control and then ultimately, allegedly, snapped. And number 10, and this might be hard to believe, but narcissists don't want you to know that deep down, underneath all of the anger and all of the fear and manipulation and control and conning and scamming and triangulation and smear campaigning and all of that, that they long to love and to be loved. And as we know, a lot of times narcissists come from backgrounds where they were neglected and or abused as children and completely traumatized, and have not, for whatever reason, gone through the process of doing that deep work and healing those childhood traumas so that they can be free. And so they go out into the world and interact with others of us in toxic and dysfunctional ways that are not sustainable, and end up shooting themselves in the foot and creating situations for themselves where they're alone. And oftentimes a lot of them end up alone until the very end of their lives. I'll speak on that later because I've witnessed that firsthand myself in my own family. And it's very, very sad and very unfortunate. Anyway, those are 10 things that I thought of that the narcissist does not want you to know. Maybe you can think of some more. Comment below with your thoughts about other things that narcissists don't want you to know. We've all been kept in the dark by the narcissist, and they don't really reveal a whole lot about themselves, but there are definitely things, and there's definitely a reason. They're deeply rooted in shame, and they are very wounded and have a lot of undealt with trauma that goes all the way back to childhood. And it's a lot to untangle. And it can be very difficult and very challenging and frustrating and even traumatizing to deal with them in their toxicity and dysfunction. Just know that you're not alone and you're not crazy. Know who you're dealing with, know who you are. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.